everybody, Codd Sinclair here, back again with another episode of Referee's Discretion. Today we are taking a look at NXT TakeOver Fatal 4-Way from September 11th, 2014. This was just the second event in NXT's TakeOver series. Here we are in 2020, 6 years later, celebrating their 30th event back in August. No smoke here, starting right off. I love the WWE intro, the then, now, and forever, being glitched out to mesh with the NXT intro, really showing the takeover. But they are not playing straight into the first match. It's the NXT Tag Team Championship match, as we have the challengers, the Lucha Dragons, which is Kalisto and Sin Cara, versus the Ascension, Connor and Victor, who are the tag team champions. We get a highlight package of the massive tag team tournament that led to the Lucha Dragons earning their number one contender status. To this point, the Ascension are the longest reigning NXT tag team champions at 344 days. Fun fact, they won the tag titles from current NXT champion Adrian Neville and current commentator Corey Graves. Tom Phillips says that Triple H said earlier in the day that the Ascension are the most dominant tag team in the last 10 years anywhere. Okay, Trips. Victor and Sin Cara starting this thing out. Sin Cara getting the upper hand, hitting some springboard offense. Victor knocks Sin Cara out of the ring and tags in Connor. Connor drives Sin Cara into the ring apron back first a couple of times and then throws him back into the ring. Victor tagged in now, trying to get some quick pins, but to no avail. Victor going for a power bomb, but Sin Cara reverses it with a head scissors takeover. Connor gets tagged in and shoulder tackles Kalisto off the apron first. Sin Cara reaching for his partner, not there obviously because he just got knocked off of the apron. Connor hits a huge splash and a near fall. Connor trying to hold Sin Cara from getting to his corner. Sin Cara hits an enziguri. Connor laying on top of him, doing anything he can to prevent the tag. To no avail, though. Victor and Kalisto get the hot tags. Kalisto, though, with a springboard crossbody and a baseball slide to Connor. Victor goes for a power bomb, and Kalisto tries to reverse it with a Canadian Destroyer, botches it horribly, still goes for the pin, and Connor breaks it up. Connor gets dumped out of the ring. Sin Cara with a tope suicida. Victor taken out of the ring with a head scissor. Kalisto tries to springboard onto both members of the Ascension, but they catch him and hit a huge fall-away slam onto the entrance ramp. Legal men back in the ring now. Victor hits a running STO on Kalisto. Connor in the ring as well now. Both of them attempting the Fall of Man, their finisher, when Sin Cara kicks Connor out of the ring. Kalisto gets the upper hand on Victor and hits a Salida del Sol on Victor for the win. We have new tag team champions. I'm going to give this a 1 count. It was good action from Kalisto and Sin Cara. The Ascension could have been a great power team on the main roster, but were unfortunately not given that chance. It did get a little botchy in spots, but overall, it's a fine opening match. Post-match, Renee Young asks the Lucha Dragons how it feels to be the new tag team champions. Sin Cara says it feels incredible, and then Kalisto gets on the mic and he starts rambling. It's very inaudible here, so we'll just say that he feels like doing some good lucha things. We finally get introduced to the commentary team of Tom Phillips, Renee Young, and Byron Saxton. We then get one of 4 vignettes from the main event competitors, the first of which being Adrian Neville, the current NXT champion. Mainly it's about people believing that he's just a flash in the pan and that nobody thought that he would be an NXT champion. Transition to our next match, which is CJ Parker, also currently known as Juice Robinson, taking on Baron Corbin. The Eco Warrior CJ Parker requested a match from General Manager William Regal, and he got Baron Corbin. But he's already in the ring, no entrance, no hype, no anything. Quick lockup, Corbin throws CJ Parker down. CJ comes back in, and Corbin hits a big right hand, sending him to the mat. Corbin picks him right up, hits the end of days, and gets the win. Squash matches here on referee's discretion will get a 0 count. If it's an obvious squash match, it will get a 0. If not, it'll be a half count max. For foreshadowing. I wish we could get this Baron Corbin on the main roster right now. His lone wolf gimmick in NXT, and even when he came up to the main roster at first, is way better than any other gimmick he's done to date, which includes the Constable gimmick and the King gimmick. We now get a vignette from the second competitor in tonight's main event, Tyson Kidd, who gives us some facts about himself, then says that he wants to prove to the world that he can get the job done and that he's not just Natalia's husband. Next matchup, we have a hair versus hair match. It's going to be Sylvester Lefort, accompanied by Marcus Louis, versus Enzo Amore, being accompanied by Colin Cassidy. Super generic techno theme music for Lefort and Louis. Cass has a bucket of liquid with him, which I'm assuming is some sort of hair removing liquid. There was a vignette before the match. Enzo, Cass, and Carmella all in a barbershop. Carmella with her pet dog Fifi, I think. And they have this bucket of liquid, and it gets all over Fifi, and Carmella's freaking out. Says she's going to lose all of her hair, so I'm assuming this is the same liquid. Enzo out to the ring. Second, grabs a mic, of course. And long story short, he says that Lefort's head is going in that bucket tonight. We do get some good chain wrestling and a lot of taunting to start the match. Lefort whips Enzo into the ropes, misses 2 clotheslines. Enzo slides under and hits a pretty decent looking dropkick. Maybe there's some hope. Lefort on the apron, Enzo pulls him back in by his hair. They try to do the same spot again, but Lefort counters with a stunner across the top rope. Lefort in control now, taunting again, gives Enzo a big right hand, sending him to the mat. Enzo fighting back, but Louis distracts Enzo. Lefort connects with a big clothesline for a near fall. Louis back on the apron now. Cass pulls him off this time. Big clothesline to the outside. Lefort is distracted. Enzo gets behind him, rolls him up for the win. Post-match, Lefort tries to run away, but Cass clotheslines him. Crowd is chanting for the bucket. Louis jumps Cass, and all 4 men are down now. Lefort runs away from Louis, leaving him with Enzo and Cass. Cass with a big boot to Louis on the stage, and a la the Dudley Boys, Cass tells Enzo to get the bucket. Then they put the bucket over Louis' head. I'll give this a half count. I was not a fan of this match at all. I know that it was a stipulation match, and I know that it was a comedy-based match, but the wrestling felt twice as long as its true runtime. The bucket of liquid, I will admit, was a unique twist on the hair versus hair stipulation. The guy who lost didn't get his hair removed, and I thought about bumping it down a half a count because of that, but I decided to be nice. Tyler Breeze with his main event vignette now, saying he'll give the NXT Universe the most gorgeous champion of all time. He gives hashtags to his opponents using hashtag Ugo for Sammy, hashtag Hobbit for Neville, and hashtag Natty's husband for Tyson Kidd. JoJo introduces NXT General Manager William Regal next. He then introduces NXT newest signee, Kenta. Kenta says it's a dream come true for him to be in WWE and on NXT. And as a tribute to his hero, he will now be known as Hideo Itami, meaning Hero of Pain. Immediately after that, he is cut off by the Ascension. No words are exchanged. Victor throws Kenta out of the ring, and then Connor gets on the mic and demands that Regal gives them their tag team title rematch now. Kenta gets right back in the ring, dispatches of the Ascension rather quickly, and music hits, and that's it. Thinking about this whole thing, what a strong debut leading to 5 years of mediocrity and poor booking. He did have some bad luck with a few injuries back to back. He did have a cup of coffee on the main roster as a part of 205 Live, but unfortunately, January 2019, he requested and got his released. Kenta did return to New Japan, though, for the G1 Climax in June of 2019, and even though he didn't win the tournament, he did end up joining the largest faction and the most popular faction, I will say, in the world, Bullet Club. Since then, he has won the Never Openweight Championship and the New Japan USA Cup. Now, he is scheduled to be in the G1 Climax of 2020, and many are predicting him to be a top point getter in the tournament. Since being back with New Japan, Kenta has publicly stated that his 5 years in NXT and WWE were the most frustrating of his life. Segue to our next match here, we have Bull Dempsey versus Mojo Rawley. This match came together when Bull and Mojo were in the number one contenders tag team tournament together, the same one that the Lucha Dragons won. After they lost their match versus the Vaudevillains, Bull viciously attacked Mojo because Mojo ate the pin. Mojo fired up for this match, slides right into the ring, get the bell, and Bull Dempsey is all over him. Mojo does get one spear and a couple of shoulder tackles in, but it's not nearly enough. Bull steamrolls right over him, goes to the top, hits a diving headbutt for the win. Post-match, Bull Dempsey goes back up top and hits another diving headbutt on Mojo, supplanting him as a heel. I'll give this a half count. This was a squash, but at least there was a small amount of backstory to it, and it did make Bull Dempsey look strong. Backstage now, Enzo complaining to Cass that he didn't get to see anyone bald. They turn and look down the hallway to see LaForte and Louis with a towel over his head being examined by WWE personnel. LaForte sees them, runs away again. Cass hits Louis in the gut and puts him over his shoulder and takes him to the ring. One atomic drop later, Enzo pulls the towel off and everybody sees Louis' bald head and eyebrow. NXT Women's Championship time, as Bayley the challenger is challenging Charlotte the champion. Bayley faced Sasha in a number one contenders match and won. They had a rematch, same stipulation, and won again. Bayley, very deep in her hugger gimmick at this point, says she will beat Charlotte for the title and won't even want to hug after. I love this version of Bayley miles more than her heel gimmick she has going right now. Charlotte, however, beat Natalya at the inaugural TakeOver Arrival to become the new NXT Women's Champion, after then GM John Bradshaw Layfield stripped Paige of the title when she moved up to Raw. Also, the title design here is its inaugural design, so it's pink and sparkly, like the Divas title. Crowd with an early "Bayley's gonna hug you" chant. Bayley aggressive early, but Charlotte counters quickly with some trademark knife-edge chops. Bayley with some heavy elbow strikes and a near fall. Bayley attempting a backslide, and Charlotte counters with a neck breaker. Awesome reversal there. Charlotte flicks one of Bayley's headbands at the official, really healing it up here. Bayley trying to get into a chop-off with Charlotte, but to no avail, obviously. Charlotte has a choke in with her legs, looking for a roll-up, near fall. Bayley counters with a near fall of her own. Bayley with a sunset flip for a near fall. Charlotte going for a figure four, but Bayley pulls her hair to get her in an inside cradle for another near fall. Charlotte with a huge dropkick, going for a scoop slam. Bayley slides out, goes for a roll-up and a near fall. Charlotte and Bayley traded elbows for a quick moment, then Bayley goes into full attack mode. Bayley goes for an elbow in the corner, but Charlotte sidesteps and throws her to the mat, followed by a knee to the face. Charlotte going up top, but Bayley knocks her off. Charlotte and Bayley both up top now, and a huge Hurricane Rana from Bayley. Bayley goes for a Bayley to belly, but Charlotte counters out of it. Charlotte goes to roll Bayley up, and she rolls her where her head hits the bottom turnbuckle. You saw her head snap. It was kind of vicious. Charlotte going for a moonsault, and I don't know if she was worried about connecting or not, but she ended up overshooting Bayley, and her lower body hit the mat first, knees and all, and then her upper body landed on Bayley. Bayley kicks out of it. Charlotte, now showing signs of frustration, immediately gives Bayley a natural selection to get the win. Post-match, Charlotte on the ramp holding her title high, and Sasha Banks walks by her on the way to the ring. Sasha yelling at Bayley, saying this was her spotlight and her moment, and starts beating her down. Charlotte gets back in the ring, pulls Sasha Banks off of Bayley, making the save. I'm giving this a 1.5 count. This is match of the night so far. Good action from both, and even though it did get a touch botchy, thinking about the moonsault spot specifically, the story pushed this from a 1 count. Love the story though. The underdog Bayley versus the dominant champion, and the challenger showing tremendous fight versus the champion who is frustrated because they feel like they should have already won. Time for our 4th and final vignette from a competitor from the main event, Sami Zayn. His is about facing adversity and people always thinking that he is the underdog. So segue from that directly into the match. We have Tyler Breeze, Sami Zayn, Tyson Kidd, all challenging the champion Adrian Neville in a fatal 4-way match for the NXT Championship. It takes a couple of minutes for the action to get going, but the action does quickly make its way to the outside. Sami and Neville back in the ring, staring each other down, but not for long, as Breeze and Kidd get back in and tackle Sami and Neville respectively. Sami finds Breeze's phone, hits him in the head, and then takes a selfie. Kidd dispatches Neville on the outside of the ring, so he decides to slip to the other side and jump Sami from behind. Kidd throws him in the ring. Sami quickly hits a flatliner, locks in the Koji clutch, but Breeze is right there to break it up. Neville pulls Breeze out and they start brawling up the ramp when Tyson Kidd comes from behind and hits a chop block on Neville. Temporary alliances form between Tyson Kidd and Tyler Breeze when they hit a double suplex on the entranceway on Neville. Sami back on the attack, but not for long, as Breeze jumps in and Breeze and Kidd hit a double suplex right onto the metal ramp. Back in the ring now, Kidd and Breeze double teaming Sami Zayn. Neville getting back in the ring on the apron, but Sami is thrown into him, knocking him off. This is an ongoing theme in the match. Kidd and Breeze with a double back elbow on Sami Zayn. Breeze goes for the pin and Kidd pulls him off. Kidd over the alliance now. It's a roundhouse on Breeze and a neckbreaker on Sami for a near fall. Kidd hits a dropkick on Neville to keep him on the outside. Big top rope leg drop from Tyson Kidd with Sami in the ropes for a near fall. Tyson Kidd puts him in a tree of woe, knocks Neville off the apron again, kicks him in the face for good measure, and hits a basement dropkick on Sami for another near fall. Neville actually in the ring now, but Kidd directly throws him right back out. Right back in though, Neville House of Fire. Action is really starting to pick up at this point. Breeze jumps Neville, but Sami is there to take Tyler Breeze out. Kidd and Breeze on the outside. Neville hits a big acai moonsault, and him and Sami have a big stare down. Neville goes for a back handspring on Sami Zayn, but it looks like Sami was supposed to catch him, maybe. But something happened. Neville falls on his neck. Scary bump. Kidd continuing his heel strategy of making it a one-on-one match, throws Sami out of the ring. Tyson Kidd puts Neville on the top turnbuckle. Neville knocks him off, and Kidd launches Sami into Neville and knocks him to the outside. Twisting neckbreaker from Kidd gets a near fall. Tyson Kidd went for the sharpshooter twice on Sami to no avail, goes for a springboard elbow drop, and Sami gets the knees up. Sami looking like he's going for a haluva kick when Breeze comes in, hits a beauty shot on him, a supermodel kick on Tyson Kidd, and a big drop kick on Neville for a near fall. Then immediately after, goes for a pin on Kidd and another near fall. Starting to get frustrated here. Tower of Doom spot though. Sami double power bombs Tyler Breeze and Tyson Kidd, who doubles superplex Neville. Sami falls on Tyson Kidd out of pure exhaustion for a super near fall. Neville in the corner now. Sami going for a haluva kick, but gets a boot to the face. Neville to the top rope, hits a gorgeous shooting star press, gets immediately thrown out of the ring by Tyler Breeze, and Breeze can't get the pin. The crowd is red hot for Sami at this point. Breeze goes for a beauty shot on Sami Zayn, ducks out of the way, Kid catches Breeze in a sharpshooter. Tyler Breeze is about to tap when Neville slides in and prevents his hand from hitting the mat, giving Sami time to break up the sharpshooter. Sami drops Neville to the outside and hits Kid with an exploder suplex in the corner. Sami looks to be going for another Helluva Kick, but this time hits a tope suicida on Neville on the outside, comes around the other corner, hits a tornado DDT to the outside on Tyler Breeze. Back in the ring now, Sami hits his Helluva Kick on Tyson Kidd. We're gonna get a new champion, but Neville pulls the referee out just as he's getting ready to make the pinfall. Sami goes to confront him on the outside, gets a super kick instead. Neville capitalizes, climbs to the top, hits a red arrow, and gets the... Grading this, I was very conflicted. I'm gonna stick with a 1 count here, but here's my logic. The first half of the match, I would give a 1 count due to its slower paced action. The second half would get a 2 count. The action picked up despite some sloppy sequences. I didn't like that the champion wasn't involved in the first half of the match. That was Tyson Kidd's strategy to keep it a 1-on-1 match or a 2-on-1 match, as you had a temporary alliance. But you could have cut out the first half of this match, and this still would have been a solid 15-minute title match. Instead, we got a 25-minute title match, which I think was too long. It's so crazy to think where all of these guys are now. Tyler Breeze, after years of comedy work and mediocrity on the main roster, is back in NXT now as one half of the tag team champions with his Breezango partner Fandango. Sami Zayn has had flashes of greatness on both Raw and SmackDown. He was the Intercontinental Champion up until May, but unfortunately was stripped of the title because he chose to sit out of action due to the pandemic. He is back on SmackDown now. Since he never really lost the title, he is now claiming he is the real Intercontinental Champion. Tyson Kidd is a former 3-time main roster tag team champion, but unfortunately had to retire in June of 2015, so less than a year after this event. He is now a full-time employee for WWE as a producer. Adrian Neville is now one of the top stars in AEW as Pac. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic and the travel ban, he hasn't been seen in the company or on TV since March. My final grade for NXT TakeOver Fatal 4-Way is 1 out of 5 stars. The Ric Flair Award goes to the NXT Championship match. The Russo Award goes to the lack of action on half of the card. The low star rating might sound a little harsh, but hear me out. This felt like an episode of NXT instead of a TakeOver special. The show overall was hard to get through. The commentary between Byron and Renee Young was cringeworthy at times. The women's title match was good, and the tag title match was meh. Everything else can go. The 2 squash matches and that awful hair versus hair match. I get it was there for comedic purposes, but the wrestling was bad, and the fact that the person who lost didn't get their head shaved was absolutely dumb. Outside of that, the main event was slow to go, but the second half of that match was awesome to watch. Apologies for the change in sudden environment. This part of the video was lost in post-production. So those were my thoughts on NXT TakeOver Fatal 4-Way. What did you think of the event? Leave your thought in the comments below. Remember to watch WrestleCast live every Monday and Thursday on Facebook and YouTube. You can even listen to us on the go on Apple Podcast. On our YouTube page, check out the inaugural episode of Patrick Lilly's Creative Control, and keep an eye out for the debut of the Dean of Old School Dwight Parker's show, Do Your Darn Homework. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and follow to Podcast World Order on all social media platforms. If you like what we're doing here at Podcast World Order and you would like to support us, you can find us on Ko-fi at the link in the description box below. For our next episode, I will be reviewing ECW Anarchy Rules 1999 with special guest enforcer from WrestleCast, Jeff the Hitman Hall. From everyone here at Podcast World Order, thank you for watching, and remember, at the end of the day, it's referee's discretion. I'm Codd Sinclair, and we'll see you next time.